Need high-quality video to promote your event, business, or band? We can help.
We're Pixel Pond, a video production team based in the Pacific Northwest, providing high-quality content to clients across the U.S. and Canada.
Whether you want coverage of your live event to promote for next year, or need a camera and a camera operator for your next big project, we can accommodate projects of all sizes.
Your story is important. Visit pixelpondllc.com or send an email to info@pixelpondllc.com to get started today. We can't wait to work with you.
This time on Gamers Week podcast. Next up, A24 is doubling down on its foray into video game adaptations with a live-action production of Elden Ring. I heard that Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be.
I'm sorry, what now?
Just the thought of that. Be like, you died.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now I want a mod to play Elden Ring that way where he says it every time you die.
You died.
Go find your corpse.
Summer Games Fest? What are the odds? What are the chances?
That we could get invited?
Yeah?
Yeah. So when we average about 10,000 downloads on the first day, pretty sure we can get in there. So we've only got 9,900 to go.
So close. We're right there, you guys.
On the cusp.
And also, if any of his staff ever vets it and see how we refer to him, we're never getting invited. Ever.
June 6th, June 7th. That's tickets.
I'm saying is that if we get close to it, then we do like a stream of 6 months of being like Keeley fans, right? Just like gushing over them. And then they're only going to check back 6 months. Let's be honest. Right.
That's a lot of ass kissing just for one event.
One event that will lead to 1 million downloads the first day.
Think so?
No.
No. There are tickets available on Ticketmaster for Summer Games Fest. It's $57 for 2 tickets.
What live event can you get that's under like 200 today? That's amazing. $57.
Apparently Summer Game Fest.
Yeah. Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Like if you want to go to a Taylor Swift concert and pay less than $2,000, you're going to be in a Porta across the street.
Wow.
You're not wrong.
Geoff Keighley, Taylor Swift.
Yeah, he's much higher.
No, Taylor Swift.
Do you pronounce it Geoff deliberately or you did?
Deliberately.
Okay.
It's one of the ways we mock him.
My name's Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
My name's Jeff.
Backups?
Backups are good.
Yes.
I'm so proud of both of you.
Right?
Oh my God. Look at us.
Look at us. Look at us. Look at you. Look at all of you. Hey.
Hey, I know those people.
Welcome to Gamers Week podcast. Like the name says, we analyze the best, worst, and weirdest headlines of the past week in the video game industry. This is episode 167, and today is Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. My name is donniegretro, and I will be your host this evening, but as you can see, I am not alone. I have with me my 2 lovely co-hosts. My first co-host just recently revealed that he likes watching overweight men in diapers slap and push each other around. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fold, Ryan Payne, a.k.a. Retro Game Brews. Ryan.
I don't think that was recent.
It's recent enough.
It's recent enough. He's
been checking my Pornhub history, and good for him. Good for him.
Did you publish that? How did I miss it?
You know how you guys send nudes back and forth? This is what me and Donnie send back and forth. So,
I guess everybody's going to have their thing.
Mm-hmm.
So what's our thing, you and me?
No, we don't have a thing. Donnie is the common denominator here.
Okay.
You and I.
Gonna be like that, huh?
And my second co-host enjoys stabbing people, forgetting coworkers' birthdays on purpose, and cute, fluffy bunnies. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fold. Blue Williams, a.k.a. Writer's View. Blue, how are you this evening?
Who doesn't like cute, fluffy bunnies?
It's just the juxtaposition of the murder, the blood, but then there's the cute, fluffy animal that you just like, oh, and you get the hard eyes and everything like that. It's like 180.
Like I bet you, Jeffrey Dahmer loved doing, like crochet.
Geoffrey? Is it Geoffrey?
No, it's
Dahmer?
Jeffrey. It's not Geoffrey.
Geoffrey. Sorry, Geoffrey.
Yeah.
Hey, want to start your own podcast? Maybe about time-traveling jazz musicians? You'll need a place to host your show. Buzzsprout has a user-friendly interface, great analytics, and resources to help grow your audience. Use the link in the description to get a $20 credit when you sign up for a paid plan. Ooh, tell me more. On that note, let's go ahead and jump into our reviews, reactions, and requests. Spoon Shiro says, I wasn't planning on playing Borderlands 4, but now paying $0 for it sounds about right.
Mm-hmm.
For the price of On the House.
Yeah, it's like, do I spend $80 to play it? Do I spend $0 to not play it? I think I'm going to go with the $0.
Or you pay $0 to play it.
Wink.
GameStop podcast does not endorse piracy.
Right. Mr. Soupy Poopy says, I've spent big bucks on previous Borderlands special editions and have all the games on multiple platforms. Never missed a day one. After this bullshit, I for sure won't be making an $80 purchase. Happy to let it sit and collect dust to snag it on sale or get the inevitable freebie.
Nice. And by the way, Mr. Soupy Poopies is one of the best names I have seen in a long time. So kudos to you for a great opinion and a great name.
I agree. And I'm of the same mind where I could probably get it if it gets down to like, oh, it's a $5 release because nobody's touching it. Yoink, I'll pick it up.
Right.
And last but not least, Dragoon Arc says, dinner at Medieval Times or Borderlands 4. Decisions.
See, but the thing is, this is a tough decision because if you go to Medieval Times and they think you're pretty, they may throw you a rose. The performers may throw you a rose in the middle of the show.
I'm never getting a rose. No one thinks I'm pretty.
At least they did that like, I don't know, 25 years ago. That was the last time I was probably there.
I've never been to a Medieval Times, but I have always wanted to go.
Yeah.
There were no utensils at Medieval Times, hence there are no utensils at Medieval Times. Would you like a refill on your Pepsi? There weren't any utensils, but they had Pepsi? Dude, I got tables.
Cable Guy, great movie.
Improbable Spork says, what's a Borderlands? Simon Astor says, how many AA and indie games could I get for $80?
Right.
And Puzzle Better says, ooh, now I want to go to Medieval Times.
Come back here so that I may brain thee.
Let's go ahead and take a look at our patron shoutouts.
All right, we couldn't do what we do without the help of our gorgeous patrons. Here is a list of our generous folks supporting Gamers Week on Patreon. B&T Zillaguy, The Mad Milkman, Seven Castle Forest, Crunchy Kong, Sheriff Snacks, Frank Grande, Love Retro BTW, Steven Stand, Ramboski, Terry Kinnair, Don't Make Me Pull This Car Over, Games with Coffee, Hybrid Divide, You Fall Before Me, Davey PGH, The Pixel Pond Family, including Shannon and Luke, Zach, huge thanks, Puzzle Butter, Number One Blue Sick Boy fan, John Barron, Sassy Sony, Evil Lust, Rai Wants This Boy's Soul, Mega Retro Man, Gamatroid, Moradib, Michael, This Ship is Too Big. If I walk, Gamers Week will be over. Nobody tell me my ass was so big. LaKite, Emo-esque, Bill Tucker, the bleeps, the sweeps, and the creeps. Fruitcakes, Pickle Pepper, Ducks with Thick Thighs, absolutely the best podcast, a work in progress. Bobson Dugnut, Blues Little Sis, Loud Moth, and Retro Blast Pat. If you like what you hear today, we really hope you do, please consider joining us on Patreon. Your support covers the cost of producing the show, so other cool stuff we'll be doing like prizes and giveaways. You'll also gain access to our bi-weekly patron-only bonus cast called Gamers Week Uncut. Patrons with benefits. Visit patreon.com/gamersweek or follow the link in the show notes to learn more.
See, Simon Astor says, you gorgeous patrons, tosses roses all around. Roses for everyone.
Carmen, mi amor.
All right, now that segment is over, let's go ahead and jump into our headlines.
Our headline segment is proudly sponsored by Absolutely the Best Podcast, a work in progress. Each episode, George and Zach discuss and rank all the best things, starting with deep dives into every movie in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, including my favorite, Thor. This week, they've got a trivia question for us. What fighting game franchise theatrically released movie adaptation currently has the lowest Rotten Tomatoes critic score at 0%? Visit them at absolutelythebest.net or follow the link in the show notes.
I think this is a trap. I think he wants us to say Street Fighter the movie, and I don't think Street Fighter the movie is a 0 on Rotten Tomatoes, nor is Mortal Kombat. However, there may be a Street Fighter Chun-Li, might be a 0. The other thought that came to mind was Double Dragon, which was equally as awful.
The one word there, however, is fighting game. So when you Double Dragon, it's a beat 'em up.
I would classify it as a beat 'em up, but some people say it's a fighting game. So I think it's semantics, right?
Well, we are in pedantic land with these questions.
We are. You're right. Mine
would have been The Legend of Chun-Li or Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
Ooh. I love the jump. That they're jumping out of the way from the explosion, and it's so obvious that they're in front of a green screen. So bad. It's good.
Gonna need an answer, boys.
Chun-Li.
Chun-Li for me, too.
The answer is...
redacted.
Really? I didn't even know that was a movie.
Exactly. There's a reason that neither of you know what that is.
Frankie said he had it, I guess.
Yep, Frankie had it. Good job, Frankie.
Wait, there was a...
redacted.
Like a live action...
redacted.
movie?
Yes, there was. IMDb it.
Was it released straight to home video?
Theatrically released.
You're shitting me.
Oh, man, I'd love to see the gross on that.
Patron movie night?
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this week's headlines. In its third round of layoffs this year alone, EA has canceled its single-player Black Panther game and shut down developer Cliffhanger Games. Developers at Cliffhanger Games and other EA employees received an email from EA Entertainment President Laura Miele explaining that the layoffs, cancellations, and other organizational changes are meant to sharpen our focus and put our creative energy behind the most significant growth opportunities. The exact number of impacted employees is unclear at the time of writing, but IGN reports that it's less than the 300 to 400 that were laid off as part of EA's April restructuring. In addition to the entire staff at Cliffhanger, members of EA's mobile and central teams were also reportedly impacted by these most recent layoffs. These decisions are hard, Miele wrote. They affect people we've worked with, learned from, and shared real moments with. We're doing everything we can to support them, including finding opportunities within EA where we've had success helping people land in new roles. EA announced Black Panther back in January 2023 when it was revealed that new in-house studio Cliffhanger Games would be handling the single-player adaptation of the Marvel superhero franchise. Miele's email.
I like how you're 3/4 of the way through the article before you start to question it.
Well, it's not right. Miele's email. That's the same, like, Miele's email.
It's backwards, right? It's like mirror images of each other.
Miele's email goes on to say that EA will continue to invest in Motive's Iron Man game and the third Star Wars Jedi game, but going forward, there will be a focus on a smaller number of franchises, including Battlefield, The Sims, Skate, and Apex Legends.
I guarantee she ran her email through ChatGPT before sending it and said, make this sound like I care.
Right. Yeah. Can you turn on the empathy filter?
Right.
Ducks in Disguise says, I was waiting for the we're family lines here.
Well, it's probably in there. This is not the whole email.
Right.
I would so love to like clock into work at the beginning of the day, pull up my email and find out through the email that I was fired.
Right. Oh my God. It's breaking up with a girlfriend over text message, right?
Right.
You can't text message breakup.
Or back in the 90s when they would just leave you a voicemail on your family voicemail box so your parents heard it first.
So right on the answering machine.
Yep.
Or your pager. Your pager is like, beep, beep. Oh, it's my number. I got a voicemail. Okay. You have one message. Hey, it's me. I think we should see other people. All right. I got to go. Bye. Beep. No.
I agree, Doongie. I thought that having a Black Panther game would be perfect. I mean, Black Panther with the combat style that you would expect straight from the movies, it's reminiscent of me of what you would see in like a Batman Arkham Asylum kind of style game in which you could really utilize the environment to make the combat really, really awesome. So I was super disappointed with that. And it seems to me like comic book movie or comic book adaptations for games seem to be going down the drain lately. So we saw Wonder Woman is going away, Black Panther's going away. Just seems to be a theme lately. And you know what? It's not a result of necessarily a game testing bad, that it didn't sit well with the market or whatever. It's just, hey, we want to save some money. We don't think this is going to make us as much money. You know what? Let's just lay people off right now before this really gets going. And it's disappointing. Again, to your point, Blue, not only are you getting an email to let you know that you've been laid off, but the last, 2 years, basically, you've been working blood, sweat, and tears into this game, and all of a sudden, that's how you get let go.
Yeah. Well, and the best part is that she's saying how these are hard decisions. They affect people we work with, we've learned from, shared real moments with. That's why we are taking that extra step to let you know you have no job through an email.
Frank says, EA Games, we hate money.
It is bonkers. There's no way that a Black Panther game would not make money if it was at least 70% competent. Mm-hmm. It would print money. So would a Wonder Woman game.
Oh, 100%. With the string bikini DLC. Donnie, right?
And the Golden Lasso DLC. You say that, Blue, but then Suicide Squad, right? With the hype of the movies that came out, you're like, oh, there's no way a Suicide Squad game wouldn't print money. But it's what they chose to do with it, making it a complete online all the time game. We don't know exactly all of the details of the Black Panther game and what it entailed. So I would agree if it's a powerful Marvel IP like Black Panther is, mm-hmm. Sure, a lot of people would have flocked to it and played it. But we just don't know until the game is released and how it plays and what everybody else thinks about it. So, and
the sad part is we'll never know.
No.
Well, yeah, again, the key phrase there is 70% competent.
Yeah.
Was Suicide Squad 70% competent?
I don't
know.
Think so. I don't think it got great reviews.
I will say people have, at least from the movie goers standpoint as well, I don't think Suicide Squad did that great, where Black Panther did amazingly well.
Right. And it's one of those IPs that hasn't been beaten into the ground yet, like a lot of the other characters.
Right.
The first Suicide Squad did really well. The second one, not so much.
Yeah. And I think there's a lot of controversy around that as well. If my memory serves me right. So, which is probably also why you'll never see like a, someone with Brie, she was in it.
Captain Marvel?
Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
You'll probably never see a Captain Marvel game because of that too, which blows. I mean, some of these characters would do really, really well in these style of games, right? Then again, I'm thinking also like Guardians of the Galaxy, as I understand, was also a huge disappointment. So I'm flip-flopping. I'm flippy-flopping today, right? As I start bringing in more understanding, like, okay. Yeah.
I will tell you what, though, if I was working on Motive's Iron Man game, I would have my resume ready to go.
Oh, right. Mm-hmm. Right. Absolutely.
But they're continuing to invest in it. So that has to give you a little bit of positivity.
For now.
Yeah. I mean, it was only a couple weeks ago when they did the last round of layoffs, and maybe everybody at Cliffhanger thought, whew, they kept us. We're going to be okay.
Yay, we made it another week.
Frankie says first Suicide Squad sucked. I disagree. Second was amazing. I disagree. The game sucked because they made it Suicide Squad Fortnite.
Yeah.
EA Sports. You got no job.
And Simon Asher says EA's third round of layoffs, and it's only May.
So, right?
Yeah. Third round of layoffs so far.
Yikes. Next up, A24 is doubling down on its foray into video game adaptations with a live-action production of Elden Ring. The indie studio behind The Brutalist, Heretic, and other critical film darlings confirmed to Deadline that it's producing a live-action Elden Ring film. The adaptation of the RPG blockbuster title will be directed by Alex Garland, known for Civil War and Ex Machina. George R.R. Martin, who we all know as the mastermind behind Game of Thrones, also wrote for the Elden Ring game and will be involved in the film as a producer. The Elden Ring film is the second video game adaptation that A24 has in the works. In April, Deadline reported that A24 was working on a live adaptation of Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding, directed by Michael Is that an M?
That's an N like Mancy.
R and N. Michael Sarnowski from the upcoming The Death of Robin Hood and A Quiet Place Day One. Live action productions of video games are a new direction for A24, which has built a reputation for prestige art house films. But A24's shift towards more mainstream movies has been forecasted since 2023, when The Wrap reported that the studio was searching for action and big IP projects. And A24 even reportedly tried to buy the Halloween franchise. Judging by the record-breaking numbers of a Minecraft movie, video game adaptations can certainly be lucrative at the box office. That said, the success of HBO's The Last of Us has proven that video game adaptations don't need to be lowbrow, so maybe A24 can pull it off.
They could do a Tekken 2?
Why haven't they tried to do something
reboot.
Tekken? I heard about this the other day, and I was like kind of in passing, and I'm like, okay, I think it could work, but it could also fail miserably. I heard that Arnold Schwarzenegger is going to be.
I'm sorry, what now?
Just the thought of that. You're like, you died.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now I want a mod to play Elden Ring that way where he says it every time you die.
You died.
Go find your corpse.
Yeah, I have some concerns.
So you're both big fans of Elden Ring. I haven't really touched it. So, like, what is your biggest fear and your biggest hope, I guess, with these? Because to me, it sounds like, it's a strong IP. It's an immersive game, so there's a lot of lore to play off of, which could be great. But sometimes I think that's also a death knell to a lot of games when something has too much lore. They will say fanboys and girls that play those games get upset when you deviate whatsoever from the story. Mm-hmm. So that's what I hate about these, is that people are unaware that a movie needs to take some artistic license. So that would be my fear, is that this would get derailed because it's not perfect to the story. But what about you guys being big fans of it?
I'll let Blue speak first on it.
Yeah, I have concerns about both of these, because both of these are set in worlds that are just they come from a really weird place. The stories in both of these come from a really weird place. And so you have to ask an audience that hasn't played the games to join you in this really weird place, right, and follow you to the end of the story. Both of these IPs are also going to be special effect heavy, Elden Ring especially. Yeah. So will an indie darling studio be able to do justice to that? Maybe they can. I mean, there's probably quite a lot of fat that can be cut from a typical blockbuster video's budget and still do just fine. But it is something, I guess, to keep an eye out on. And Alex Garland, who's directing the Elden Ring movie, I only like his movies about 50% of the time.
Oh.
So.
What's one movie of his that you like?
See, now I don't even remember. Like, that's...
Put her on the spot.
I know. Alex Garland, IMDb.
Oh, so he did 28 Days Later.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Like, I knew there was something.
And Dread. Okay. The Dread movie with Mike, what's his name?
Stallone.
No, not that one. Carl Urban.
Yep.
If the Death Stranding movie, like Simon Asher points out, will Death Stranding star Norman Reedus, Mads Mikkelsen, Guillermo del Toro, and all the other actors from the game? If it doesn't, like, that's going to be weird.
Right. It'd be like doing a Cyberpunk 2077 game without Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he should be Bill and Ted the entire time.
Blue, you made a comment earlier about how you're asking the audience to come with you and trust you on that particular journey, right? On the movie journey.
Mm-hmm.
You're doing the same thing though for a video game. For me, for somebody who hadn't played Elden before, and I only started playing it a couple months ago, so I just jumped into it, and it's like, okay, you get the first dialogue that says tarnished or this or that. It's like, okay, I really don't know what the hell's going on. It wasn't an investment for me in the beginning. I knew nothing about the lore. I didn't really start to explore that until I was almost done with the game. So I think as long as the movie takes elements from the game and doesn't focus on the big, broad lore, they just have like a certain focus, I think they could be fine. People are going to go crazy for something that looks just like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones or what have you. Mm-hmm. Frank says, Donnie makes a good point, but he liked the first Suicide Squad movie, so can't trust his opinion.
What your concerns are, I think, tenfold with Death Stranding. So I guess we'll see that first. I think one of the things they should probably do with the Death Stranding movie is hand out like little bits of acid for everybody to take just right before, so as
Probably.
the previews are going, it'll kick in, and then all of a sudden you'll be like, I get it now.
And then you get to the point in the movie where it's the guy with the guitar and the like really long like snake tongue, and he's just doing at the screen, and everybody in the audience is freaking the fuck out.
Bad trip.
Yeah.
Next up, Microsoft has announced Retro Classics with Game Pass, a collaboration with Antstream Arcade to bring a collection of over 50 classic Activision games from the 80s and 90s to Game Pass members. The list includes the likes of Commando, Grand Prix, Kaboom, MechWarrior 2, 31st Century Combat, and Pitfall. Some of the games go back 45 years. Players can even save their progress and continue later, a first for many of these games. Microsoft said Retro Classics with Game Pass is a step in our commitment to game preservation and backwards compatibility. Retro Classics will be available to all Game Pass membership options in the regions where Game Pass is currently available. Platform sections include Atari 2600, DOS, and Amiga. It's worth noting there is a PlayStation PSX section of Retro Classics, which currently includes MechWarrior 2, 31st Century Combat, which was developed and published by Activision in 1995 on PC before coming to PlayStation and Sega Saturn in 1997. Over time, Microsoft will add more classic games from Activision and Blizzard's back catalog to Game Pass, expanding the Retro Classics collection to over 100 games. Expect additional games to be added monthly.
I have mixed feelings about this.
Okay.
The audience that will celebrate this highly, I think, is extremely small.
Mm-hmm.
And Antstream Arcade has been really trying to capitalize on like the 2600 for a lot of the games that it offers in the past. And the one thing about 2600 games is, they are definitely nostalgia. They are definitely have the capacity for fun. But a lot of times when we're talking about 2600 games, we're really talking about 15 minutes worth of fun until you're like, all right, let's move on to something different. Mm-hmm. So is this really, I don't know, is this the best use of their time and money is to bring back those kinds of games? I don't know. I mean, Pitfall is going to be one of those things where you like, or Kaboom as well, where you're like, you show maybe your kids and say, hey, this is how games used to be. And they'll go, oh, that's really cool. Can we go back to playing Madden,
Yeah.
or Roblox or something,
Yeah.
MechWarrior 2, though, I will say I liked that game back in the day. My brother had it on PC. He was a big fan of MechWarrior. So there's some games that they could certainly, attract me to this. But the original lineup here does not look like something that would push me into buying Game Pass right away. There are 1,000,001 other ways to play games like this that don't require you to sign up for a subscription. How you do that, I can't tell you. I have no idea. Never heard of how to get that done, but
I'm sure you can Loogle it.
It's completely legal, however it is.
Of course.
100%.
Yeah. Ducks in Disguise says, Atari games, wee. But then Doongie says, show some respect for Atari.
And you know what? To that point, yes, Atari needs some respect because the games it pretty much started it all. But when you talk about the 2600, it's absolute shit. Most people, and I love the Atari. I do. It's what I cut my teeth on and everything. But the Atari 2600, it's what caused the video game crash. Now, subsequently, when you talk about when you talk about the
mismanagement of it caused it.
Still, it was responsible for it. Anyway, jumping forward, you have the Atari 5200 or even the Atari 7800 with games like Dig Dug, Hat Trick, Ball Blazer, Cracked. You know, you've got tons of games that actually look like their arcade counterparts on the 7800. So if you're going to do something classic, bring that library over.
GoldenEye says, Donnie planned this. Everybody who's just listening missed him holding up the completed box copies of all those ones that he was just mentioning.
Ducks in Disguise says, it is kind of funny that Nintendo's like, here are GameCube games, and Microsoft says, here's some 2600 games.
Yeah. I mean, it's like last week, Microsoft says, hey, all of our stuff is going up by $100 and even our digital games are going up to $80. And then this week they're like, but it's okay because you can play 2600 games on Game Pass. See? So who wants to buy an Xbox?
And let's be honest, most of this is probably free for them to license, or at least extremely cheap for them to license.
Because it's Activision.
Right. And that's right, because it's already owned by Activision. So Pitfall at 100%, is being brought over. And so you're right. I'm sure that it's a really cheap thing for them to be able to set up. And of course, it's done through Antstream Arcade, which is already a well-known kind of emulator of those games as well. So this is really cheap for them to do. I just don't know if it's like the draw that they were hoping for. If it says, there could be up to 100 games, I'll have to see what the library looks like. Maybe there's going to be one that catches my eye. But DOS games, I think, is probably the one I'd be most excited about because DOS was relevant long into the 90s where, Amiga really didn't make it past like the early 90s. And of course, the 2600 didn't make past 83. So
I do think we need to temper our criticism a little bit, though, because we are always talking about game preservation.
True.
And so if a company is taking steps towards that, we shouldn't come down on them too hard for it.
Blue, the reasonable one.
My bad.
I would not say this falls in the realm of game preservation. This falls in the realm of give us your money so you can play these classic games in this spot. Legally,
but as we just
whatever.
said, this is hardly as much of a draw. Like my biggest thought when I read this headline was that I would love to see kids' faces when they saw, Activision, and pulled it up and they're like, where's the Call of Duty? That would be priceless. But as we already said, people who are old enough to remember these games also know how to pirate them. So it's really not that big of a draw.
And you can go to your local retro shop and I guarantee you there is a bin with all the Atari games that you can imagine, and they're all 99 cents.
Yeah, I think you can probably fit the entire Atari 2600 catalog on a 512 megabyte disc. Or
easily.
Yeah.
Easily. You could probably fit it on like a 3 1/4 floppy.
Yeah.
And I think the problem with Atari is that they did this with both the 5200 and the 7800 is that they just took their old IPs and just updated the graphics a little bit. Not drastically, just a little bit. The 7800 had the capability to work just like a Nintendo, and they were still doing things like Dig Dug on it. In games that were sub what Nintendo looked like at the time, I will say. So, I mean, the Master System was doing it better, Nintendo was doing it better at the same time. And in fact, if I remember right, too, when the 7800 came out, they were re-releasing the Atari Junior. So another version of the 2600. Like they're pulling like a full Sega on that one. I know. I did it. I did it.
Ducks in Disguise says, what about the first gen Xbox games? Why not some of those on Game Pass? They had some solid exclusives.
Definitely had some solid exclusives.
Because they would have to put effort into adding those.
I would love them to bring back multiplayer Fusion Frenzy. Maybe they do, and I'm not familiar with it, but Fusion Frenzy was super fun as a party game. Hashtag bring back Fusion Frenzy.
PlayStation should be able to do the same thing. Like any first-party PlayStation games should be able to be released on PlayStation's Game Pass, whatever their equivalent, whatever they have.
Bubsy 3D, baby.
Yeah.
Woo!
House of the Dead 3, Ninja Gaiden. Did that for you, buddy? Project Gotham. Those are the ones that come to mind for sure. Oh, Fusion Frenzy is on Game Pass. Oh, then I might sign up with Game Pass.
Nice.
Just
that would
for
be
Fusion Frenzy.
No, that would be a fun game night, I think, is to have us all do Fusion Frenzy. Because it's kind of like Mario Party, but it's like a Mario Party mixed with like American Gladiators.
We still have our copy downstairs.
So much fun.
Fusion Frenzy. Okay. Never heard of it, but willing to give it a try.
No, we are not Fusion Frenzy, but we are willing to learn.
Sammy, get well soon. All right. Last but not least, GameStop just bought $500 million worth of Bitcoin, causing its investors to flee. The embattled video game retailer announced its first large acquisition of Bitcoin on Wednesday, disclosing a purchase of 4,710 Bitcoins, or more than $500 million worth of the currency as part of the company's attempt to boost its ailing profits. GameStop's press release announcing the purchase is a single sentence long, and there is no word on why GameStop did this or what its plans are. The announcement was not a surprise, though, as CNBC reported in February that GameStop was planning to buy cryptocurrencies. But while similar investments have been a boon for other companies, GameStop has yet to reap the benefits from its pivot to crypto. After an initial bump in pre-market trading following the announcement, GameStop's stock tumbled 10% on Wednesday morning as investors expressed dismay with the company's new financial strategy. Vitaly Shchetrkin, chief product officer at crypto payment processor B2B in Pay 420XXX, argues that Bitcoin may not be the cure-all GameStop is hoping for. The currency's trademark volatility introduces new risks to GameStop investors, and its stock is already suffering from declining video game sales, he tells Fortune. Bitcoin is exciting for a loyal investor base, but it distracts from core fundamentals. If crypto prices drop, GameStop may easily end up in a double bind, says Shchetrkin.
So, this reminds me of some of those stories you hear about like, a company that is literally just about to fail, that goes to Vegas and like throws all they've got left on black to try to continue. Right. And it's just like, all right, fuck it. If it lands on black, then we're still in the business. If not, then we're done. They like took all the company's profits, $500 million worth, and was like all in.
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
Or it's like, I don't even remember the show, but there was some like sitcom that did an episode. It's like save the neighborhood bookshop, and then the characters all like spend the whole episode like doing fundraisers and everything, and they manage at the 11th hour to raise all the money, and then they're like, yeah, we saved the bookshop, and the bookshop owner is like, oh, thank you so much, I can't wait to do it again next month. And everybody's like, what do you mean? She's like, well, this was just for this month. We have to be saved again next month.
No, that's not how this works.
I almost bought some Bitcoin when it was like $74,000 a Bitcoin, and I balked on it, and now they just bought 4,710. I guarantee you that shot up the price at least a little bit. I could have been raking in the cash, is all I'm saying.
You had $47,000 to spend on Bitcoin?
No, it was at 74,000.
Yeah.
I did not have that much, but you can buy partial Bitcoins.
Oh.
Now it's at 108,000 a coin.
How much Bitcoin can I buy for Tree Fitty?
Point zero 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 zero
There's
zero.
a lot of zeros. Yeah.
The biggest surprise for me was that GameStop still has investors.
And you know what? It was like that meme coin for a while that people invested in, right? Because they wanted to stick it to the man and do a pump and dump when it came to GameStop. So maybe those people, there's a few that just stuck around. I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Our people are hoping for, memification of that stock again. So, and And maybe this is it. Maybe they're bringing down the stock price so it'll go back up after they sell all their Bitcoin and everything is good to go. I have no idea what they're thinking. It just sounds to me like they're in a boardroom, probably snorting substances and going, all right, so how are we going to get money? All right. No, my nephew said Bitcoin. He said it's the future.
While I don't think it's a bad investment now because the price of Bitcoin has shot up recently since it was, I think in April, that's when it was down to like $74,000 a coin. And it's jumped back up. Bitcoin has been volatile ever since it started to get popular. Right. I remember when in 2017, I had the opportunity to buy whenever Bitcoin was at $1,500 a coin. I was going to take out a loan for $50,000 and buy Bitcoin. And I didn't. And if I had, I would be a millionaire right now. But I was like, you know what? I don't know if my wife if she would have been happy about that. And then subsequently, whenever I told her that I was going to do that, she's like, why didn't you? I'm like, are you kidding
Because I
me?
thought I would be a divorced millionaire.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, all things being equal, if somebody came up to you and said, I'm going to take out a $50,000 loan to invest in cryptocurrency, you would probably tell them to stop being crazy.
Oh, yeah.
You would like call
gamble.
an intervention and be seriously concerned for them. It was just that this one happened to take off, but nobody at the time could have known that.
No, only the diehard conspiracy theorists who were like, oh, yeah, man, this is the future, man. Like I had this dream. I did LSD and Bitcoin is how we're going to be paying for everything. And sure as shit, dude bought a pizza with Bitcoin.
Yeah, one of the first investors, 14 Bitcoin.
For a pizza.
Which, by the way, would be $1.4 million today. They purchased a pizza.
Oof, a pizza.
Pizza.
Wow.
With a large cheese pizza just for me. Regardless, there's been a lot of GameStop stores in my area that have closed. GameStop recently started taking on PSA submissions. So for like sports cards, Pokemon cards, Magic the Gathering cards. Now I'm hearing horror stories of people who use who use GameStop to send their stuff into PSA for grading. GameStop has lost my order. So there's not a lot of good news coming out from GameStop. And I think this is the last resort before the death knell of GameStop. If they don't do something with this, try to turn this around and maybe double their money to $1 billion and say, hey, we've got liquid. We're liquid now. We've got $500 million that we can do. We can go into new ventures. Maybe we can actually develop our own games. Who knows? And go work for Microsoft. I don't know.
Regardless, even if this works out exactly like they're hoping, this is a Band-Aid. This is a big, expensive Band-Aid.
Oh, for sure.
None of this addresses the reasons why GameStop is in this place to begin with.
Correct.
And unless they do that, it's not going to matter.
I will predict that in 2 years, there will be a mass liquidation and GameStop will turn into private equity.
Haven't we been predicting that the last 3 years?
Well, this one is a big indication where they're just pulling all their money together and buying crypto. That is a Hail Mary.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Did they ask their employees to invest in this as well? Or did they just like, hey, you want in the Bitcoin?
Every employee's paycheck will be cut by 30% to fund the Bitcoin.
As long as they get back their 30% investment, that's actually not a bad thing.
Sure, they probably got a pizza party.
Pizza.
Oh, no, that is the ultimate betrayal.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our top 3 new releases for the week.
All right, first up is Hypercharge Unboxed, PS5 and PS4. Hypercharge is a first and third person shooter action figure game you've always dreamed of. Grab your friends, complete objectives, defend the Hypercore against waves of weaponized toys, and defeat major evil together in a story campaign. Next up is the Rewinder 2 PC. The Rewinder 2 is an action-adventure game inspired by Eastern mythology. As the last known Rewinder, you wield powers to explore disrupted villages, dungeons, and save people from their dreams. Unlock new skills and meet all sorts of ghosts and monsters. And last up, Elden Ring and Night Rain. PS5, Xbox Series X and S, PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Elden Ring Night Rain is a standalone adventure with the Elden Ring universe, crafted to offer players a new gaming experience by reimagining the game's core design. Join forces with other players to take on the creeping night and the dangers within, featuring 3-player co-op. So, as we look at this one, Blue, what are you in for this week?
So, Hypercharged Unboxed. It's interesting. The trailer that I watched starts with like a 80s or 90s style cartoon opening, and it's kind of fun. Even if you don't end up getting the game, you should go check out the trailer. But the game itself looks like if Toy Story was a shooter, which... Right. Is kind of a fresh spin on a tired genre. So good luck with that. But as everyone knows, I don't like shooters, so I'm not gonna get that one. The Rewinder 2, it looks like a gorgeous game. It looks like if illustrations on a paper scroll had come to life. But in addition to being beautiful, it looks really, really clunky. And the early reviews that it's getting are very mid. So probably going to skip that one, which is too bad because it really is a beautiful game. Which, of course, brings us to Elden Ring Night Rain. I am hearing a lot of good things and a lot of bad things about this game. So it seems to be the classic Elden Ring experience pared down and condensed to, instead of 200 hours, it's 45 minutes from start to finish. So as would be necessary to do that, they have left out a lot of things that I think the hardcore Elden Ring people will miss in the game. But otherwise, there's no way you could really get that experience in 45 minutes. It also apparently really has problems with the multiplayer aspect, quality of life stuff, a lot of bugs. FromSoft is not used to making this kind of a game. And I think it kind of shows is from what I've gathered from reading. Also, there's no crossplay, which freaking sucks.
Oh.
Yeah. And you can't play it at all with 2 people. You were supposed to be able to play with 1 person, but the early balancing, what I'm seeing is that it's impossible to play by yourself right now. Maybe they'll patch it later. But
get good.
I know, what's more in the Elden Ring spirit than that? But if you play it within those very narrow parameters that the game operates in, people are saying it's fantastic. So I don't normally like online multiplayer stuff, but I love Elden Ring. And so that being the case, I really do want to get Night Rain and at least give it a try.
Very nice.
Very nice. Donnie, what about you?
Working on the Night Rain. So Hypercharge Unboxed, it looks unique. It looks fun. Like Dee said in the chat, it's giving off Small Soldier vibes, which I 100% agree with. Small Soldiers, Toy Story, etc. The settings are in a toy store. You look like you're in a Toys R Us and you're having a dog fight, or it's first person, third person shooter. It looks unique. It looks interesting. I might give this one a shot. The Rewinder 2 immediately sounds like a VHS rental horror movie or a rental horror game. But then I take a look at the gameplay and it really just does nothing for me. So I'm going to go ahead and skip this one. Which brings us to Elden Ring Night Rain. I've heard just the same things that Blue have said, that apparently you can't play this game as a single player. You're forced to play it with other people online. However, the fact that it doesn't have crossplay sucks. So if Blue has it on PS5, yet I have it on PC, and somebody else, one of our other friends, has it on Xbox, we can't play together. So I don't know. I don't think I'm going to go out and buy another copy of the game on this system just to be able to play it with my friends. Maybe I would, but I don't know. I'm really not sure about Night Rain. I want to play it, but until they get some of the stuff ironed out, it's not going to be a day one purchase for me.
I am really, really hoping they add crossplay at a later date.
For sure.
They almost have to. You think it would be a no-brainer to do that because it would get more people to go, because some people might be like, well, I don't own this system, so I'm not, and my friends do, but I'm not going to run out and buy this system just for this game.
Yeah.
So,
and for adults like us, it's hard enough to get 3 people who have free time at the same time to play anyway. So you're just putting that extra obstacle on top of that. Like,
exactly.
3 friends who happen to have free time at the same time and all own the same platform. It's just, it's asking a lot.
So that is my choice. Hypercharged Unbox is going to be, I'm going to check that game out. Elden Ring, Night Ring, until they get everything ironed out, I'm probably not going to touch it.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ryan?
This one is a interesting week. So reviewing the kind of the trailers that came out for this. 2 of these games, I have no idea what they're about. And that is the Rewinder 2. I couldn't tell you based off of the trailer. All I can tell you is that the art style is pretty cool from what I can tell. And it looks like it's kind of reminds me of, I guess, I want to say like Cult of the Lamb, something like that, where it looks fairly simplistic, but the gameplay is set up that way. Where Elden Ring, Night Rain, I don't know enough about Elden Ring to know what the difference is between this and the standard gameplay.
You have died. That's all you need to know.
You have died.
There's no bleed proc, and so half the internet just is screaming in agony that they can't use their bleed build. Carry on.
Sure. Whatever that means. So that leaves me with Hypercharge Unbox, which I think looks pretty cool. I think that you guys have nailed it down, that it's a mixture between, Small Soldiers and Toy Story. One thing I don't like about it is that at times it looks very reminiscent of Fortnite, just how it handles from a third-person shooter. It's very jumpy, floaty, that kind of thing. But it sounds like you can either play story mode or you can play with friends, but it sounds like friends is not online. It's local co-op only.
Oh, how classic.
Which blows, honestly. That blows.
That's a throwback.
So much.
No
Yeah.
screen peeking.
So if we're talking about any of these games this week, I'm probably not in for any of them. Let's be honest. So
okay.
Even though I wouldn't fault you if you loved every single one of these games or one game in particular, but for me at least, it's just nothing is sparking joy.
Fair enough.
Well, there you have it, folks.
All right, before we move on, let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor. This segment is proudly sponsored by the Retro Game Club podcast. It's a fantastic, family-friendly retro gaming podcast. In each episode, Rob and a guest pick 2 games to play and discuss, as well as news, interviews, and other topics. Right now, they're playing through Metal Slug 2/X and Fatal Labyrinth. Visit them at retrogameclub.net or follow the link in the show notes.
Fatal Labyrinth.
That one I'm not familiar, but Metal Slug is one of my favorite games of all time. All the renditions of Metal Slug are excellent. Any game that screams at you, rocket lawn chair,
That's a winner.
is good in my book, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. I was actually packing up my stuff from my storage unit down in Georgia, right? Packing it into the van that's going to take it up to my place here in Tennessee. And there was a guy who was sitting there kind of waiting for things to go. So he had helped pack it up and was waiting to kind of get released. And he's on his phone. And I can hear Metal Slug being played because I can hear the when you shoot somebody and they die. And I looked over the guy. Guy doesn't speak English, and I just went Metal Slug, and he went, "See, Metal Slug." I was like, "Yes!" I was like, "Yes!" And he was just like smiled, like, because we had that instant connection as gamers, even though we didn't speak the same language, which I thought was super cool. So I love Metal Slug. I specifically got Neo Geo recently just to play Metal Slug. So
wow.
I'm not going to buy the version that comes for the AES. I'm going to buy a MVS adapter, so I don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get a loose copy of fucking Metal Slug. But yeah, that is one of my favorite games for sure.
It's funny how the rich kid now owns a Neo Geo.
Funny how that works.
Jealousy.
Yeah, very much so. The Neo Geo was the pinnacle that back in the 90s, that really told you that you made it or your parents made it. If they could afford a Neo Geo, forget about the 3DO, forget about the Sega CD, forget about the Philips CDI and all that stuff. A Neo Geo was the top tier. That was S tier of the video game systems. And my buddy, no, I don't think he ever had a Neo Geo. I never touched a Neo Geo. I've never laid my hands on a Neo Geo.
And I played like the MVS at a million gas stations and stuff like that. So that was my exposure to Metal Slug, King of Fighters, to Samurai Showdown, all that stuff. But yeah, up until recently, I had never touched one either.
And Fatal Labyrinth apparently is a roguelike role-playing game for the Sega Genesis / Mega Drive. So might have to give that one a shot someday.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, for sure.
All right, well, thank you for coming, students. Please take your seats and welcome to a new segment called Professor Rye-Bread's Bullsh List 101. In today's quote-unquote lesson, we'll be discussing what historical figures from the annals of history, that's one extra N than you wanted, are most likely to be a gamer if they grew up in modern times, and which ones were not. This is a completely made-up list, so I hope you have fun with it. First, let's start off with a non-gamer. And our first non-gamer is going to be Winston Churchill. This is very close to the edge of gaming, but we're going to say 1874 to 1965 he lived. We'll say Churchill saw the world as a chessboard of empires, not a leaderboard in Oasis. So this man is a man who drank whiskey with breakfast, gave wartime speeches in a full 3-piece suit and a top hat, and he would never fumble with thumbsticks or HDMI ports. He'd scoff at the idea of leveling up, firmly believing that one should be born at level 10 already with a decent waistcoat and a firm grasp of Latin. His idea of multiplayer coordination would be convincing a divided parliament to agree on anything and not corralling teenagers to flank in Overwatch. The only kind of battle royale he'd be tolerated is one fought on actual battleships and snarky speeches delivered over brandy.
I don't know. I think if you plop him down in front of Civ, he's not going to have a good time.
Yep. An RTS. He's an RTS guy.
I gotta be honest with you. I was struggling to find non-gamers, so this is going to be me a little bit here. But I definitely find gamers was pretty easy. So our first gamer is Sun Tzu from 544 to 496 BCE. I believe his gamer tag would be the real art of war. I think his genres that he would prefer are strategy games, tactics, and stealth. Basically anything where you can kind of win before the match starts. I think the games he would play were StarCraft, Shogun, XCOM, Civilization 6, and I think that he's that kind of guy. He obviously war-based kind of games. So as far as being a gamer, question is what kind of gamer would he be? I think Sun Tzu, he wouldn't trash talk in voice chat. He wouldn't need to. By the time you loaded in, he'd already have psychologically defeated you through pre-game diplomacy and subtle sarcasm in the lobby chat. He'd drop down messages like, the supreme art of victory is to make your opponent uninstall.
He doesn't need to trash talk. He just drops a 30 bomb and is like, what? Get good.
Figure it out. All right, our next non-gamer, Karl Marx from 1818 to 1883. Why he wouldn't be a gamer? Well, he would look at the video game industry and immediately write a 3,000-page diatribe on how digital labor alienates the proletariat from the joy of leisure. Loot boxes, capitalist gambling, game development crunch, digital exploitation, skins and DLC, and illusion of ownership perpetuated by the bourgeoisie. Content gatekeeping. His version of co-op would involve sieving the means of game development and redistributing graphic cards to undeserved communities. You tried to explain Animal Crossing, and he'd interrupt you to say, so you're in debt to a raccoon landlord? And you think this is escapism?
That actually fits startlingly well.
Right?
All right, so our next gamer would be Nikola Tesla from 1856 to 1943. His gamer tab would be AC, not DC.
Nice.
Thank you. His genres of choice would be sci-fi world builders, futuristic sandbox games, anything with electricity, let's be honest, robots, or deeply impractical contraptions. So Zelda, the most recent one, Tears of the Kingdom. Modern favorites would be, of course, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, No Man's Sky, modding Minecraft to simulate Tesla coils. It would be his thing. Now, Tesla wouldn't just play games, though. He would bend them into new forms of alternative reality. He'd rewire his gaming PC to be cooled by carrier pigeons and power by static electricity harvested from the atmosphere. You'd find him in Minecraft recreating a wireless energy grid. And instead of fighting patents, he'd just roast him online.
Would he be an overclocker?
Oh, 100%. 100%. So for our last non-gamer, this one's going to be a little bit controversial, I think, too. Leonardo da Vinci from 1452 to 1519. Why he wouldn't be a gamer? Well, he would be the kind of guy who couldn't sit still long enough to finish a painting, so let alone play a 40-hour RPG. He'd start installing a game, get distracted by the load screen, and invent a new type of glider using your Wi-Fi router. He wasn't into play. He was into solving mysteries of flight, anatomy, geometry, optics, and what if the Mona Lisa could blink and follow you with her eyes? The only thing he'd speedrun is running out of space in his sketchbook. For Leonardo, the game wouldn't be interesting enough as something that you just played. It would be something you dismantle, improved, annotated in mere writing, and then accidentally left in a dusty drawer for 400 years.
GoldenEye says MS Paint.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I was going to say Mario Paint.
There we go. I cannot get the fucking train. And our last gamer, I think, would be Cleopatra. Gamer tag Throne Snatcher. Yes. You caught it. Yep. Okay. Strategy, political simulators, visual novels with betrayal mechanics, I think. Modern favorites would be things like Civilization, Among Us, Baldur's Gate 3, The Sims 4 with every expansion pack. So what kind of gamer would she be? I think Cleopatra wouldn't just be a gamer. She'd own her own streaming empire. She'd have a Discord, and she'd rule it like the Nile, right? With charm, with cunning, absolute command over everyone's attention span. And in-game alliances, she'd befriend you, she'd flatter you, and then quietly sell your entire army to your rival 2 turns before you noticed. Now, she'd be an ace of deception-based games like Among Us and Towns of Salem, wearing snake-themed headphones and sipping imported wine while whispering, "It's nothing personal, darling. It's just strategy." Every character she played in RPG would have 20 charisma, 18 in wisdom, and a passive skill called Iconic Entrance. She'd be like the Queen of Twitch, dropping surprise raids on rival streamers during their sponsor reads and casually announcing a new perfume line during the cutscenes. So hopefully you enjoyed my list here today, and feel free to reach out, via our Gmail or social media to let me know what I missed and potentially what I got wrong. Plenty of people in the chat are already discussing. So thank you for attending today's Bullsh List 101. And just a reminder, if you have any ideas for a story you'd like to hear, send us a message at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com, and we might feature your suggestion.
I think we need at least one person to write in and let us know which one of these historical figures that Ryan was wrong about. I guarantee you at least one of them is a mobile gamer. One of them is a Candy Crusher. One of them is a bubble popper.
Ooh.
You've pegged them as a strategy person or whatever, and they just sit there with their little tablet. Pop, 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 pop. That's it. That's all they do.
Sometimes it needs escape. Yeah, absolutely.
Of course. Yeah.
I mean, everybody's got to take a shit from time to time. So
Oh man, that's a t-shirt. Gamers Week podcast. Everybody's got to take a shot from time to time.
I don't know if it's our best tagline.
No, it says mobile games. It's GWP, but mobile games. Everybody has to take a shot.
Okay, no, you're right. I like it better.
All right, let's go ahead and wrap up this episode. Thank you for listening to episode 167 of Gamers Week Podcast, and a big thank you to the Retro Game Club Podcast, Love Retro BTW, Pixel Pond Production Company, and absolutely the best podcast, Work in Progress, for sponsoring this episode. Don't forget to check out their links in the show notes. If you want to connect with Gamers Week, follow us on Twitter and Blue Sky at Gamers Week PC. Watch us right here on Twitch at twitch.tv/Gamers Week Podcast, where we will record live every Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Email us at gamersweekpodcast@gmail.com. Visit our merch store at gamers-week-podcast.creator-spring.com. Or if you want to do it the easy way, follow the link in the show notes. And last but not least, join us on Patreon at patreon.com/gamersweek. And don't forget, at the merch store, you can get our new t-shirt that says mobile games. Everybody's got to take a shot at some time.
I'm sorry, the Moich store.
Moich store.
Moich.
And finally, since you made it all the way to the end of this episode, please leave us a rating and a review to let us know how we did. We really do value your feedback. While you're there, consider subscribing on iTunes, Spotify, or your podcast platform of choice. We did it.
We did it.
We did it.
Look at us. Who thought? Not me.
Well, you never think.
Oh, you, man.
In his defense, you called him ugly last week, so
Who did?
right.
I did. I called you ugly at the beginning. Yep.
I don't even remember it. So no harm, no foul.
The worst part is I'm going to remember this.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is all for us tonight. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by this evening. We are greatly appreciative of you and what you do for us. We'll catch you next week.
Have a good night, everyone.
Bye.
Arrivederci, baby.
Hey, getting a raid from Pixel
Yeah,
Pond.
Pixel Pond. Thank you so much, Raiders.
Welcome in.
Pixel Pond.
Pixel Pond was just doing a cooking stream, if I am correct.
Really? Okay. What were they cooking?
Yeah, what delicious culinary activities were you involved in?
I think I smell it from over here. Well, oh God, it smells. Yeah.
Oh, beef stroganoff. Ooh.
Oh my God.
That's what a cow does when he's by himself.
I guess that explains why Donnie leaned back and stroked his nipples at the mention of beef stroganoff.
No, I did not stroke my nipples. I kind of just like rubbed. This would be stroking. They kind of grazed them.
If we hold on to one person that came over on the raid, I will be deeply surprised.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut.
Welcome to Gamers Week Uncut, Patrons with Benefits. This is the unscripted, patron-only bonus cast with less editing and more dirty jokes. We don't know where the conversation will go, but we're sure it will be weird.
This fish just went right on my nipple, and I'm just like,
I Google Street Fighter 6. The first search result that comes up is people think they can see Ryu's dick in the Street Fighter 6 reveal.
Listen up here, kids. You're not going to want to get one of those VD-STDs things, right? Make you fall off. When you go, grab a pro. You'll be doing it for America.
that was perfect.
If you want to hear weekly episodes of our patron-only bonus cast, join us at patreon.com/gamersweek.